Lab 4, we're going to practice some problems using the concepts that you learned in tuples. So, first problem, create an old tuple using the following data, then update the course and professor from data analytics to network security. That should be as a new tuple. You have to print both old and new tuples as I have given in this screenshot. You are going to create an old tuple and then you're going to change it. So you can just think about what you learned about tuple. So we know that we can't edit any values in tuple, right? Like list, you cannot edit the values. Keep that in your mind. So they didn't mention that you have to do this in a particular way. They just ask you to create a tuple by changing the value. So one possible solution could be the algorithm. You have to first create the input tuple value. Create a tuple and add the value given in the problem. And the second thing, you're going to create the output. The output is going to be the modified value. So we are going to add the instructor. So this is the network security and data analytics. We're going to add the modify the instructor. That is the output. So how are we going to do? We can create a old tuple. Since we can't edit the value in tuple, what we can do? We have done it in a tutorial. We can convert the tuple to list. Is it possible? Yes. If you pass the tuple value into which function, which method? List method, list. Okay. So that will convert all those values which is given in tuple. That will be converted as a list. Then can you access the list and change the value? Yes, list will let you to do it. So after you convert the list, then you're changing the value and printing it out. It's not a very big problem. Okay, you're just looking it in different perspective. That's it. You don't have any constraint that you have to do it only inside the tuple data type. No, you're just changing it, creating a new box and adding it, and then you're changing it back to tuple. That's it. Okay, so very simple problem. We can do it now. Okay, so did you understand the algorithm? Okay, so let's do it. I'll do it with you. You can just follow me. Okay, so we are going to first create a tuple with all those values. Okay, so old tuple. Okay, let's say it's old tuple value. And what is the, how can you create tuple? You can do it in two ways. Either you can use the tuple method or you can use parentheses, right? So it will let you to copy. The screenshot will let you to copy and paste. Feel free to copy and paste to create this tuple. So with this given value, we are creating a tuple. So when you give something inside a parenthesis, that will automatically will be taken as tuple. Okay. And then what we have to do, they ask us to print both old tuple and new tuple. So let's print this before doing the conversion process. You can see. And you can even check the type. If you check the type of old tuple, then it can say, it will tell you it is a tuple, obviously. So we are going to create a new tuple with a new addition of list, right? So first thing that we have to do is we have to create a list, right? So new, and we can just create a function. What should be the parameter here? You're simply passing the old tuple values into list method. Can we check that? What do you think? What will be the type of this new? Obviously, it is going to be list. Now it says it is list. So since it is list, you can do any kind of accessing, changing operation, right? So what they ask us to do, the data analytics should be converted as network security. And then this instructor is going to be changed to another instructor. Okay, you can look at this. These two got converted to network security and election. Okay, so These are the new values we are going to change. So how can we change it? There are multiple ways you can do it. Delete it and add it. But the easiest way is accessing it through the index value. What is the index value? New of, what is the, we have to change this value, right? So new of 2 is going to be network security. And then we are changing another value, which is new of third index, right? The immediate next value, we are going to change the instructor to new instructor. Okay. So now we can just type print new and see what is that. So now it let us to access it, but you can see which is there in which format, list format, but they ask us in tuple. How can you convert it into tuple? Simply by passing it. Which method? What is the function that you have to pass? Agree? When you pass it to this tuple method, the list will get converted as tuple. Okay, even you can print, you can simply type of new. And then you can print the new tuple. So now you can see that which is in the which format. So let's print the type. So it's a class tuple. So it's very simple problem. Okay, just gave you the understanding on changing data types. You don't have any restrictions in changing from one. All you care about is the result. How can you get the result? Okay. So the second problem is little bit, yeah, it is almost similar, but we are changing few more things by in the tuple format. So I'll read the problem. Write a Python program to add an item in a tuple. Obviously, we cannot add anything. Tuple is all about what are the two methods are there in tuple that we have seen? Count and count will tell you how many times a particular item appears, right? And what is the next one is there in tuple? Index, right? It will tell you what is the first index of the given value. It will give particular value and then it will just go and look at the tuple and say, hey, this value is there in this particular index. These are the two things that we can do with tuples. So any of the things that they have mentioned in the problem that we cannot do. They ask us to create a tuple that we can do and printing it out, that's easy. And then appending a new value into tuple. When you do appending, obviously, again, we are going to depend on list. We are going to convert it into list. And which method is there to do it? Append method. We are going to do it. And then similarly, we are going to do the another operation. We are going to print it from this to this. That is also, we are going to do it in list format. And then we are going to add a new value. Let's do all these things. Okay, so this is the problem given. Let's solve it. Problem number 2. Okay, sorry, not 2. So first we are going to, okay, let me show you the algorithm for this. It's very simple. First, we are going to create a tuple with all this value. You know how to get the exponential thing in. What is the formula for this exponential in Python? How can you do it? Yeah, double star, right? Double asterisk that will give you. So by using that, we are going to first create a tuple and printing it out. That's the first one. Then we are going to append it. How we are going to append it? Okay, we'll do one by one. Okay, so first we are going to create an input and output algorithm. Okay, so one thing that you have to remember, right? You cannot do any change in the tuple, but according to this given problem, You can see they ask you to append. You can do it either way. You can just convert that into list and then append using append method, then convert it back to tuple. That is one way. Another way is you can just create a tuple and you simply want to append this value. Tuple does not restrict you to do this appending as concatenation. This is one tuple and you're adding another tuple and you use the plus operator here. So you're not disturbing the whole tuple. You're just using the concatenation plus symbol to add new two tuples to form a new one. This is allowed. Okay, this is another method that we can do. Okay, you can do it in list, converting into list, or you can simply connect to, add two tuples that will create a new tuple. Okay, similarly, we are going to use the same method by using the plus symbol, concatenation symbol, to create this tuple and add these values. Does it make sense? Okay, we are going to do it in this way. First, let's create our first tuple with the given values. Okay, tuple 1, let's say tuple 1. So anything inside the parenthesis is tuple. Double asterisk symbol 2, 2, 2 asterisk 3, 2 asterisk 4, 2 asterisk 5. Okay. And then print. So we're going to say old tuple is whatever value you have to add, you can simply add. Tuple 1. Okay. So this is one thing. And then we are going to, what is the second problem? Can you read it? Second one is we are going to append this value to this tuple. So this 2 exponential 6, we are going to add it as a new tuple. We're going to add it as a new tuple. So tuple 2 is equal to tuple 1 plus what we want to add. This is a tuple, obviously, because it is inside the parenthesis. So we are printing it out. Let's print it out. Oh, sorry. Even though we know that anything you put it inside the parenthesis will be considered as a tuple, right? But still, there is a problem in simply passing this operator inside the parenthesis because it considers that as an expression, not as a value. So it should be considered. If it is a value, then you can convert as a tuple value. So since it is considered as an expression, little bit complicated, right? So to make it like it is a value, just convert it and keep it as a value. Don't see it as an expression like that. We are giving a comma here. Without comma, it will throw error saying that I don't see a tuple value. It seems like that is an expression. Does it make sense? Okay. Okay, now we're going to create another tuple, which is going to be 3, where we're going to add the previous one, concatenation operator. And let me read this one. So from 2 power 7 to 2 power 10, we are going to add bunch of tuple values here. So let's add it. 2 power 7, comma, 2 power 8, comma, 2 power 9, comma, 2 power 10. Print. Tuple 3. So we got it. So let's read the next one. The next problem is we have to convert. Okay, we have to add a number, right? So far we did it. Easily we were able to do it. Shall we try? We have to add 100 as a number. Shall we try it? Let's try it and see what it says. So this time, let me read it once again. The fourth task is add a new value 100 into old tuple. Let's try it. Into old tuple, they say. So tuple 4 is equal to, what is the old tuple value? Tuple 1. And then you want to give a try? What do you think? Will it throw any error? Yeah, it says no, I cannot do it. So let's try our old trick of doing this. Still it doesn't accept. Okay, it does it. It doesn't throw any error. Let's try. Yeah, that is one thing. You can just add a comma and trick it and then saying that, yeah, it is a tuple. Don't take it as integer. Comma. Tuple, yeah. So for if you just give 100, then it just take it as integer value and say I cannot add integer to tuple. It combines. I want it to be a tuple to get added into the tuple class. So if you give comma, then it takes, okay. I don't take it as integer. I'll take it as tuple like that. Okay. So we are tricking it, or else what else you can do? You can convert this into list and then append, use append method and do it. That is long way. You don't need to do it, but still that is one of the thing that you can do. Let's try it. So we can create, either you can do this or you can create list tuple 1. You can convert the list tuple 1 to list. And then you can say list dot tab append. What value you have to append? 100. After you append this, you can convert this into tuple once again. So convert that list text into tuple and then print it. Does it make sense? That also will give you the same thing. Okay. So these are a few small problems. The next problem is going to be the real one. We are going to real one in the sense little bit a good challenge for you to think how you have to handle tuples. Okay. Let's read the one problem. Define a function called circle data. Distance to calculate the area and circumference of a circle given in its radius. The function must accept exactly one numeric parameter, which is going to be the radius. From the radius, you are going to calculate the area and circumference. The function will calculate the circle's area and circumference, returning two values. That means the area and the circumference should be given as a tuple. Okay, two values in one single tuple. That's how it should give you the result. The output should be a tuple with circumference and the area. Write a main program that will prompt the user to enter the radius, which get passed to the function and the results get displayed. Be sure to handle any possible exceptions, such as converting the user input string into number. So we can add saying try exception method, saying you're supposed to give only integer. You should not enter any string. Like that, we can just give any prompt to handle this exceptions. So they ask us to do it by using try exception method. First, let's do it in a regular way. Problem 3. Okay, well, how can we solve this problem? So if you give radius 1, then you should calculate the area and circumference, and that should be that will give us an output in the tuple format. Then we have to retrieve the data from the tuple and then display the result as it is. Your final output should look like this. have this idea. You cannot give this as a tuple. You have to give it with this label. So you have to extract it from the tuple and display it. So this is how your output should be. So let's discuss the problems algorithm. First, you're going to get the input, which is radius. And then you're going to write a function to calculate area and circumference, which is easy. And then you have to return the value as a tuple, which is also easy. If you put something inside the parenthesis, that will be converted as tuple. That is also easy. And then what we have to do, tuple, assign the tuple to two individual variables separately. You have to get this from the tuple, retrieve it and add it as a separate integer value and then display it. That's it. Simple. I hope you got the algorithm. Did you get the full picture? How are we going to do it, right? So you know the problem definition is very simple. You can do it. Shall we use math library? Yeah. Okay. Let's use math library. So if you are using any library, then you have to import it as the first thing. So you're importing the math library. Shall we define the algorithm after importing normally we will define the function. Before we call it, we have to define it. Okay. So let's define the function, which is easy. Let's say circle data. And what should be the input? The parameter is radius. So how can we calculate area? Pi r squared. Can you complete the code? Math dot, what are the parameters that we can pass? Math package will have a lot of methods and we are going to use this pi method. Then this parameter with the formula. This is the area calculation. Similarly, we can do, what is the formula? 2 pi r, right? So 2 into pi. Pi value, we can import it from the package. And then r, radius. We have to return it as a tuple. That's what they say. You can just simply return it as a separate variable. That will solve the problem. But they ask you to import it as a tuple or return it as a tuple. How can you return it as tuple? You can simply say return area, return circumference. Instead, we are saying as tuple, right? So area, circumference. This will return it as tuple. Okay, so after defining the function, we have to call the function. Before calling the function, we have to first make sure the radius is entered, right? Okay, so int r is equal to int, we have to convert. First, we have to prompt, enter the radius. Results. We have to call the function, right? So we are going to call the function. Result is equal to circle data. The function name is circle data and we are passing this r. Function calling. This one is function calling. Let's try to print the result. Do you see why it doesn't do any calculation? Because, okay, let me convert it. This one is a single variable, right? Result is a single integer variable. It can hold only a single. It's not a sequential data. It's a single data type. Still, it doesn't do it. Return area circumference. Let me use the assignment. If you remember the assignment operator of tuple, you can say, oh, I'm trying to print or sorry. Sorry, I just tried to print or. That's why. So when I tried to print results, you can see now it printed the results. Got it? So now we have to retrieve the value separately, and we have to say this is area and this is circumference. So we know the assignment operation, left hand side assignment, right hand side, right? The assignment operation, the first value in the left hand side will be assigned with the first value in the right hand side. According to that assignment, we know that tuple has that property. So according to that property, we are saying this variable is going to be results. Do you agree? So the result area will be assigned with the first one and the circumference will be assigned with the second one. That is the pretty direct assignment operation that we have discussed about tuple. So let's try to print it out. Print area, print circumference. Okay. So now we want it in this way, like they want it to be exactly like this, right? Let me read the problems again. So they said the output should be like this particular output. So let's convert our output to accommodate that. So we are just adding the label to that, saying area Okay, so we got it. So let's read the fourth one. If you read the problem. Distance function. Define a function distance to calculate the distance between 2 points. The function must accept two parameters, P1 and P2. Each of the parameters should be a tuple with two decimal value. For example, the first point tuple might be 2.6, 3.1. This is the coordinate position, x coordinate, y coordinate. To define a point, do you need two coordinates, x and y, right? So that is the point 1, x coordinate, y coordinate value, the location of point 1. Similarly, the location of point 2, P2, has its own x coordinate, y coordinate value. So this one, we can easily say that, yeah, we can use tuple here, okay, because it is combination of x coordinate and y coordinate. We're going to use tuple here. The function will unpack 4 values and determine the length of the line by using Pythagorean's theorem. I have given you the link of Pythagorean's theorem. Do you know how to calculate the distance between 2 points? Do you remember the formula? X2 minus x1 the whole square plus y2 minus y1 the whole square, right? Do you know the Pythagorean's theorem? X2 minus x1 the whole square minus plus y2 minus y. That is the distance between 2 points. Got it? So now think about this problem. We have this x1 and y1, x2 and y2. What is the first thing that we have to, let me complete the remaining one. Write a main program that will prompt the user to enter two coordinate values, x and y, which will be received as one single point, xy for one point and another xy for another point. Be sure to handle any possible exceptions such as converting, exception handling. If you want, you can do it. But as of now, the basic problem is you have to unpack it, take it as x1 and x2 because the first point P1 is going to have x1, y1. The second point P2 is going to be x2, y2. You have to unpack it, get it as x1 and x2, then apply the formula. Then you can just return the distance. Does it seem doable, right? You can do it. Because the previous one, we did it the same thing. We extracted the values. You know the formula. So let's look at the algorithm once again before starting it. So we are going to get the coordinates for 2 points, x1, y1 like this. Okay. And then after getting it, since it is 2 points, one value, we are handling it as tuple. And then we are going to define the function to just break it down to x1, y1. Okay. And then let's see one by one. Then since can we do it directly or do we need to convert it to list? All those things let's discuss. Okay. So let's first start doing it, then we will figure it out. Problem number 4. Do we need math here? Pythagoras theorem we are using, right? Square, all those things. So let's, for safety, let's import math package so that we don't need to write a separate function. We can reuse the functions which is given inside the math. Okay. Now, second thing, they ask us to do it as a function. So let's define a function. The function name is going to be distance. What are the input to calculate it? So actually it is P1, P2. Even though the subsexes are x1, x2, y1, y2, actually it is P1, P2. That is what we are getting. Okay, P1, P2. Maybe let it be here. Let's first try to write code for P1. Input, enter x, y coordinate values for P1. Then P2, let's try. Enter x, it is, you can say x2, y2 coordinate values for P2. I hope it makes sense. So whatever you are entering here, that is what we are passing here to this P1 and P2 as a, this is parameter. For this parameters, we are passing whatever we have entered as a one single integer. Can you tell me when you assign this P1 is going to be a tuple or no, it's not going to be the tuple, right? Yeah. So just keep it in your mind. Let's say x1, y1. So this is going to be P1. And then we are going to, this assignment operation, we know the tuple can do it. Okay. Okay. Let me try to print P1 and P2. 10, 20, 30, 40. It takes it, okay, print type of P1. Yeah, it is taking it as what? A string, right? It is taking, because we know that always when you get the input function, the output of the input function is always a string, right? Okay. So we have to first get it, right? We have to first, to apply to this, we have to first process the string. We know that when the always the output of the input is string. Okay, first we have to process the string. So we have to write something to process the string. So let's create x1, y1. Let's create a list to handle it. From string, we are going to convert it into list. Then from list, we are going to convert it into tuple. Then we are going to process, right? That is one way we can do it. So let's try it. So we're going to convert it as list first. Let's create an empty list. Then we're going to say n1, numbers 1. You can just give any value. And then x1, p1. P1, because we save it as P1. P1 dot split function. Can you give me the delimiter? What is the delimiter value? Comma, 10, comma 20. So this is going to be number 1. Okay. And then number 1. So from this, let's print number 1. Number 1. Numbers 1. What you get? Is as a list, right? You got it as always the like how output of the input is string. Similarly, always when you apply split function, obviously the output of the split function is list. Okay, so the number 1, the type is list. So from here, it is easy to retrieve 10 and 20, right? By using the index method, we can easily retrieve it. Okay, let's process it. So here we are going to say x1. X1 is going to be, it will be, we can simply say numbers of 1. So numbers 1 of 0 or 1? 0, right? Okay. What is the next variable? Y1, right? Y1 is going to be the first index. So now we have splitted it into 2 values. Now we have to add it to this x1. Okay. So we are going to say x1, y1. We have created this empty list, right? So we are going to add it to this empty list. Why? After that, we are going to convert it into tuple. Okay. So we are going to what is the function that you can use here? X1, Y1 is a list, right? So what are the methods available with the list? Append. Append you can do. And what you're appending? X1, right? Okay. So I forgot to do, okay, let me try it. So I forgot to do one thing. What is the reason? Why did we do? We can simply do the numbers 1 itself a list, right? Numbers 1 itself a list. Why do we need to do it? Because it was a string. It was list, but the list elements were string. Did you note it down? When you try to print numbers 1, it was string, right? So we have to convert it into float or integer. Okay, float has integer as well. So we are converting it into integer here. Or integer or float, numeric value. From string, we have to convert it into numeric value. Okay. So like this, now this x1, y1. What is this x1, y1? Now let me try to print x1, y1. X1, y1 is a single variable, but a list variable. Do you get it? So from string, we just converted it into, oh, why it is, oh, sorry, y1. Okay. So then it is, we have converted it into this. Shall we do the same thing for the next parameter, 0.2? We'll do it. You can simply copy this and paste it. So this one for the second point, which is x2, y2. So we are just using the split function where p2 dot split. Initially, it will be a string. Then we are converting it into floating point and saving that as single variable. Then appending it to the list that we have created. Now we have it as two separate value. Okay. Do we need to convert it into a tuple to pass it here? Right? Okay. So let's convert it into tuple so that we can pass it here. We have to. Why do we need to convert it into tuple? Because we are going to apply this assignment operator when we do this. To get this assignment operator, it should be the tuple form. Then only that assign. Will the assignment work for list? No. It will be only possible to do with the tuple. So we are going to convert what we have in a list format to tuple format. So x1, y1 tuple is going to be converting this tuple. What we are converting? X1, Y1. Similarly, let's do it for the second point. X2, Y2. Okay, I'm not going to run it, but we'll complete our code here. Now, does it make sense? So we are passing it to the double. So what is this parameter and what is this one? So when you call this function, we have to do the function calling, then only it will work. So distance equal to distance 1, let's say. Distance 1 is equal to, you are doing the function calling. What is the function calling? We are doing the function calling, this function calling, right? So the arguments are, can you complete it? What are the arguments we are passing? First argument. Second argument. So this is a tuple value and this is a tuple value and this is argument we are passing. This argument x1, y1 tuple, x2, y2 tuple will be assigned with this parameters p1, p2. Agree? Yes. So now here we have to do the remaining stuff. Now here we are going to apply the formula. Is this clear so far? Okay. We are going to apply the formula. So we are going to do A1 x2 minus x1 the whole square. So here it will easily say what is x1 and x2. So after this operator, we have splitted it apart and we have 4 values. Easily we can get it. So we are going to x2 minus x1 whole square. Actually, whether it is this or this, we have to convert it into absolute value. Absolute of in Pythagoras theorem, it should be even if it is negative. What the absolute will do? Yes, we'll just convert the positive values. So then y2 minus y1 the whole square. What is the full theorem? Plus, right? X2 minus x1. You can directly write it or you can simply break it apart and write it like this. Square root of, that's why we used math function. Square root of a1 plus b1. Do you think it will return the distance? So let's print out the result. Print distance 1. 10, 20, 30, 40. It gave you the result. Maybe you can add, you can just verify how you want to get it. So they didn't mention anything. So you can simply print it out as it is. Or you can add the label. The distance for P1 and P2 is. Okay. Okay, so we got the result for problem number 4. Let's do problem number 5. So this is another real world problem. Latitude and longitude calculation. So latitude and longitude can be expressed either in degree, minute, second, DMS unit, or decimal format. Okay. For example, for Georgia Southern University, the longitude and latitude value, that is the coordinate value, the location is this. So the first unit is said called degree, and the second one is called minute, and the third one is called second. You know about this, right? Longitude and latitude things. So it can be done in decimal. Define a function DMS to decimal to convert this DMS location to decimal equivalent. The function must accept exactly one parameter, location. The location parameter should be the tuple of 2 items. So note it down. You are receiving a location. That is one single input. That one single input is a tuple that is holding latitude and longitude values. The latitude and longitude has 3 different sections. So you have to break it apart and convert it into decimal. That's the challenge. The first 2 values in each tuple will be integer and last will be the decimal. For example, the first measurement, this one, the second measurement, this one. I have given you the formula in the lab itself. I have given you the formula to convert the DMS to decimal. What you have to do? You have to take the degree as it is. The minute, you have to divide it by 60. And the second, you have to divide it by 60 into 60, 3,600. And then you have to add everything. That will be the decimal point. That will be the decimal equivalent. So this is the formula that we are going to do. So if you want to know more about this calculation, I have given you the link here. You can just see they have given the formula and how some documentation about how this latitude to longitude conversion will take place. Okay. So next. So this is what we are going to give. We are going to give, and this is the output that we are going to get. The output is like this. So I hope you got the understanding on the problem. Let's discuss the solution. So the input is going to be the longitude and latitude as degree, minute, and second. A string variable. Normally, you will get it. When you get it by using input, obviously it is string. And then we have to convert it into different formats so that we will receive it as a tuple. Then we will break it apart using assignment operator, assign the value, and then apply the formula. It may get the overall view how we are going to do it. Output is going to be longitude and latitude value in decimal. So we are going to get the input as a string. So once we get it as a string, when we apply split function, obviously that will be a list, right? String, split function, that will convert it as a list. Then either we can do something like what we did here, like that, or you can use the list. After we get it as a list, then you can use the indexing to separate it. After you get it as an indexing, after separating it, then you can pass the list inside this and then apply the formula. Let's do it. When you start doing it, you will get good idea. Moving forward, in each step, you will get a better clarity. So let's first start solving the problem. So first thing, we are going to ask the user to enter the input, right? So we have to prompt the user to enter the input. So let's first get latitude value. Enter degree, minute, seconds. That makes sense. Now we have to get a list. We have to, what is the data type of this latitude? It is string. Now we are going to apply, let's create a variable first. Latitude list dot. If you press tab, what are the methods available for the string that will appear? Okay, what method we are going to use? Split. And what is the split deleting parameter delimiter? Comma. Now, can you tell me the data type of this latitude list? Okay, that is the data type. Did you complete it? So degree 1. So degree 1 is going to be nothing but from this list, what is the index? 0, right? So the second one, minute. So 1. Then find the last one is second. That is going to be the second index. Okay. So if you remember previously, when we got it, what will be the data type of all these things? Okay, let me run it. So, but print degree 1. Type of degree 1. What is the type of degree? String. So what you have to convert it into an integer float, right? Degree is integer. Minute is also integer. Second can be float. Okay. So we know that it is, even though it is list, inside the list parameter, it is actually a string. Does it make sense? Now we are converting it into integer directly. This is supposed to be integer, but this can be, now let's type it 10, 4, 5. Now we have converted it to integer. Okay, it makes sense. So I will delete these two. So like that, you have to do it for longitude as well, right? So you can just copy and paste and create a, just do the same thing that you have done for latitude. Do it for longitude as well. So degree 2, minute 2, and second 2. So that is going to be for longitude. Now we have everything as a list of elements, right? So now we have to convert it into tuple, right? How can we do it? Either you can pass these two values into tuple. Let's say that location. You can say tuple is equal to, just you can pass these two. But obviously, even if you're not doing it, if you simply put these two things inside parentheses, it's still a tuple, right? Agree? Latitude. Create tuple combining the longitude and latitude. Okay, let's try to print the location. So now it is like this thing as tuple with the comma separation. Okay. Let's keep it as it is. Now let's create a function, define a function to do this conversion. For this, we are going to use the property of tuple, the assignment operation. So DMS to decimal. That is the function that we are going to create. So which is what? This is parameter, which will be assigned with this argument, right? Location. You can even give location, not a problem. Okay. So we are going to say uh, points, right? So decimal 1 is going to be degree 1 plus. Now can we apply the formulas? Because these are separate integer thing. We already checked it. It is integer, right? Since it is integer, can we directly apply the formula here? Minute 1 divided by what? What is the formula? You can verify the formula. Plus second 1 divided by what? 3,600. You can verify the formula that I have given in the lab problem. Okay. So this is for a decimal 1, that is for longitude. But you can just give a meaningful name. You can say latitude decimal. And then you can say longitude decimal. And this one, degree 2, minute 2, second 2. What we have to return? As a tuple. Returning as a tuple, or you can simply return latitude decimal, comma, longitude decimal. We have to call this, right? Print. Let's do the calling inside the print function. Ten, 25, 16.7 minus 81, 47, 11.69. Got it? As a tuple. We returned it as a tuple. It should work it even if you don't return it as a tuple, still it should work. If you simply return it without tuple, it still work. So 32, 25, 16.13. Use the same formula to verify your answer is correct. Minus 81, same values, 47, 11.6592. If you get this, then your formula is correct. So you can see that still, even you don't return it as a tuple, even if you return it as a separate values, when you pass it, it will return and it will just, here you applied this, right? Since it will just together will be displayed as a tuple. Because here you created the tuple. Because of that, it will be tuple. It will be returned as a tuple.